So we got quite a reaction to talking about what your passion is. People asking, how do I find my passion? Important question, right? Now I love it when people say that they always wanted to be an actor or nursing was their vocation in life, but the truth is, most people don't know. And it's a myth that we all have one passion and that that's predetermined at birth. You know, that kind of, what was I born to do? So our next couple of videos are about finding your passion in life. And in this video, we'll be looking at what's happening in the brain when we feel our passion. And we'll give you a couple of techniques to increase those positive feelings.
I want to be a robot designer. I want to be a marine biologist. I want to
Children dream big, but as we grow, something happens and we lose sight of our passions and our purpose. Everyone has a unique definition of success. Follow us on our discovery to redefine what it means to feel successful for you.
So let's start by working out what it means to feel passionate. The science behind the emotion. Remember, the human body is a complex machine and every function has a purpose, including feeling passion. Let's take a look. So when you do something that your brain interprets as pleasurable or enjoyable, it increases the release of the neurotransmitter dopamine. Now, dopamine has many functions in the brain, but the two we're interested in here are reward and motivation. And the release of dopamine leads to feelings of euphoria, of bliss, of drive, of focus and concentration. This collection of feelings, well, it looks a lot like passion, right? So there's a chemical release that's leading you to feel passion. And low levels of dopamine will leave you feeling low levels of interest in life, low motivation, altered sleep patterns, fatigue, hopelessness. And the emotion that sums this up for me is feelings of ennui or utter weariness. Now this was all designed by Mother Nature to help our survival. As humans, we're complex machines designed to survive and reproduce. A dopamine release is kind of like a bribe by the brain. So that dopamine feels amazing, even kind of addictive. So the brain dishes it out to us in exchange for behaviors that help us survive. So it gives it to us during sex so that we feel passion and motivation to reproduce. Some of us get another dose from high-calorie food that helps us survive food shortages. Or you might feel a similar passion about belonging to a group in society, something like a religion. It's safer in a group, right? Or you might get that dopamine buzz from creating a better, safer home or lifestyle for your family. Now these were all great ways for our ancestors to survive, and the brain made sure we wanted to do these things because in exchange it gave us a dose of dopamine, which feels amazing and it's addictive. It gave us passion. So one way to increase your dopamine levels artificially is through drugs. For example, cocaine or ecstasy lead to a big spike in dopamine. It feels great, you're passionate about everything and everyone around you. What's not to love? Drugs can increase dopamine by up to 10 times. Wow. But the brain doesn't know what's going on. It tries to regulate this. So it starts to reduce the amount of dopamine it releases. You struggle to get that same feeling from the drug. You need more and more of it. And when you're not taking it, you start to feel, well, the ennui. But remember, dopamine is designed to motivate you to repeat behaviors. So you can feel compelled to repeat the same behavior and begin the cycle of physical or emotional addiction. Okay, so how can we get a natural release of dopamine and feel our passion? Well, nowadays it's cheap and easy to get, and that's the problem. In the past, it was much harder work. You had to go out and you had to create stuff. So you had to build a house, or you had to cook for your family, or you tended to your crops. And by doing this, you were flooded with dopamine. It was satisfying, and you felt good about the whole process. You felt passionate about it. Without that dopamine to motivate us, without that bribery from the brain, we wouldn't have bothered with these things, and therefore we simply wouldn't have survived. Nowadays, big business knows that if they can trigger a release of dopamine, they've got a customer for life. So they make it quick and easy to binge watch TV shows, or to order amazing food from your phone to your door, or to just buy more and more new stuff. And why would you bother with the time to woo a potential partner when you can just swipe right? You still get your dopamine, right? But do you notice something? The ones from nowadays come from consumption, and the ones from the past come from creation. Big difference. And if you want something to go beyond a quick dopamine release, it has to come from creation, not consumption. If most of your dopamine comes from creation, that's where you're really tapping into your passion. So you might be passionate about photography or building things or designing or dancing. Ever notice that most kids love Lego? They're creating before they've got the resources to just consume. And if you're looking at this and thinking most of your dopamine comes from consumption, that's not passion, that's addiction or habit. So you're addicted to high calorie foods, to movies or playing video games or social media. But that's not to say you have to stop and give up these things for good. But think about it, does your dopamine rush from social media come from the number of likes you get or that you've been retweeted? Or does it come from that sense of pride in having created something that you then share through social media? Difference there. So dopamine is coming from either addiction or passion. So how do you shift things so that more comes from creation? So for example, it's Sunday today and I could be on the sofa binge watching a box set and I'll still get my dose of dopamine. But instead, I'm creating these videos with Jose. It takes a lot more effort, but it feels worth it to me to feel that passion about creating something. So think about it, how much of your time is spent creating something you're passionate about and how much is just consuming? So let's take a look at how to change that. Well, firstly, you're naturally addicted to dopamine. That means if you cut off your current supplier, maybe the TV or junk food or social media, you'll be highly motivated to get it from somewhere else. Don't believe me? Well, before the dating apps existed, people didn't just stay home and never meet people. They had no option but to get out of the armchair and go and engage with the world. They had to flirt and ask people on a date. So make a conscious commitment to drastically reduce your consumption. Make it measurable and stick to it. And just watch all the new things that you're motivated to do. Secondly, you need to try new things. So what you need to do is start with an internet search to find a list of hobbies. There's loads of them out there. Take that list and strike off the ones that you'll never want to do or that you actually just can't afford to do. And take all the rest and work through them one by one, even if you've never thought about trying it. So let's think about photography. You might think about watching a YouTube tutorial and then actually try putting an empty picture frame on the wall and commit to having a picture in it from your photography activities at the weekend. And go out and create. Working through a different hobby each week or month, you'll have a huge amount of fun, but you'll also start to see the ones that just aren't for you and the ones that you think, oh, I want to do that again, I want to try that again. And something to think about, if you're struggling to take action on this, it might be because you're in that grip of consumption, or maybe you're in a state of ennui. So you definitely need to do this. As an aside, you'll become a magnet for other people who'll probably want to get involved with, the kind of things that you're doing. You'll be almost like their dopamine dealer. So we've seen what it means to feel passion and some ways to move from that consumption to creation as a much more fulfilling source of dopamine. Make sure you click like and subscribe to the channel because we've got some other videos coming out soon on how to identify your passions, but also leave some comments below. Tell us how you found this or any other techniques that you found for identifying what your passion is. Thanks for watching.